Our next speaker is Lisa Calderwood from CLS. She will talk about next steps, which she will tell you. Yeah. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Alfonso. Thank you for the invite to be here. The study. Fascinating couple of days, so I've enjoyed being here. Thank you. So my name is Lisa Calderwood. I work at the Centre for Longitudinal Studies, which is a sort of research centre in London, which is part of University College London. And at the Centre for Longitudinal Studies, we actually have 4 cohort studies, 4 national cohort studies, which we kind of look after and manage. And I'm going to tell you about one of them today, which is called Next Steps, which I'm the principal investigator for. So yeah, Next Steps is it's a national study, so it's a big national study. It follows the lives of 60,000 people who were born in England in 1989 and 1990, so they were born across the school year. It's nationally representative of England only, so it's not a UK study, it's a national study. So it began back in 2004, and the study members were actually recruited when they were aged 13, 14, so it was a cohort where they were recruited later on in childhood rather than at birth. So they were aged 13, 14, and they were sampled through their schools. So there were about 650 schools in total in England, and it covered all the different types of school sector. So it had good kind of population coverage. So the reason it started in 13, 14 was because that was a kind of key age at which young people make educational decisions around what subjects to go on to study. And they were actually followed up quite intensively throughout the rest of their throughout adolescence and into young adulthood. So they were surveyed annually between 2000 up until 2010, when they were aged 19 to 20. So there were annual surveys up until age 19 to 20. And it was funded and managed by the Department of Education. The reason they set up this study was because they were really interested in looking at educational transitions in this critical period, 14 to 19 period. So as I said, 13 to 14 is the school year at which young people make decisions about which subjects they want to carry on to study up until age 16. And age 16 is the end of the compulsory schooling in England. And at that point, there were kind of young people kind of take divergent paths. So some people will stay on in school and do what we call A-levels up until age 18, and perhaps go to university. Others can leave school at 16, and perhaps they'll get a job, or perhaps they'll go into an apprenticeship. So there was quite a lot of there was a lot of policy interest in sort of determinant factors affecting these educational transitions, and also the impact of the educational transitions later on. So that was why the study was set up, and it was very much used by the Department of Education during this period. And I'll go on to tell you a bit more about some of the policy impacts it had. But the kind of unfortunate thing was that once they got to age 1920, that was kind of when they were outside the remit, the policy remit of the Department of Education. So the Department of Education having set up this study, once they got to age 1920, they were sort of no longer able to kind of continue to fund the study and follow up the young people into adulthood. But very fortunately for us, or fortunately for the research and policy community in the UK, we've recently been able to get some funding to restart the study. So the study's recently undergone this kind of transition from being a government-run study to being now an academically run study. So we, the Center for Longitudinal Studies now managed the study, was able to secure funding from the Government Social Research Council, which is the major funder of academic research in the UK, and it's the major funder of other kind of the longitudinal resources, data resources in the UK. So they were able to kind of give us some funding to restart the study after this dormant period. So we're currently surveying them again at age 25. And we've just started, so it says currently in the bill, but we've actually only recently started the data collection, so, and that will continue until sort of the middle of next year. So to kind of reflect this change, change from being a government study to an academic study, we wanted to kind of broaden the content of the study at age 25, to reflect, to make it a more multidisciplinary study, and the content to be driven by kind of academic or research questions rather than policy questions. And we really hope to continue the study into adulthood every 3 to 5 years, but at the moment we've only got funding to do this for one survey. The study was previously called the Longitudinal Study of Young People in England, or LSYP, and we've now called it Next Steps, because the Department of Education actually set up another study called Longitudinal Study of Young People in England too, so we decided to give it a new name, which is right, a new sort of identity. And actually Next Steps is the name that the participants always knew it by, so it's a participant-facing name. So we're now trying to promote the name Next Steps. We want the academic research community and policy research community to hold up to stop calling it LSYP, which is proving quite difficult to do. There we go. So just to go on to tell you a little bit more about kind of why was it that the ESRC, the Social Research Council, gave us this additional funding. So why is the study so important? Why should we continue to follow up into adulthood? So, as you said, kind of talked about yesterday, we've got a sort of tradition of carrying a long tradition of carrying out cohort studies in the UK. The earliest study started in 1946, and at the Centre for Longitudinal Studies, we're responsible for three other birth studies, one which started in 1958, one which started in 1970, and one which started in the year 2000, which is the Millennium Study. So I'll just kind of briefly just go through these very quickly. So again, the National Child Development Study started in 1958, ECS 70 in 1970, and the Millennium Study. So obviously you can see that there's a kind of gap between a 30-year gap between the start of the British Cohort Study in 1970 and the beginning of the Millennium Cohort Study in 2000. So Next Steps kind of neatly fill this gap, because we've got our cohorts born in 1990, so they fill this kind of 30-year gap in this kind of time series. So that's really the main reason that they wanted to kind of restart the study. But of course, as I said, our cohort were not actually followed from birth, they were followed from arrangement. So why is it important? So yeah, they were born in the early 90s, but missing cohorts, and we really need to kind of, by following them up, we can complete this kind of picture of the different generations, and we're able to compare this generation with other generations. But this age group are very important in their own right. So there are unique, and they've experienced kind of unique challenges. So they were more during their childhood. They were exposed to digital media, digital natives, they've grown up in society. They've also experienced big changes, so the global war on terror broke out during their lifetime. So they've had very particular experiences, and also the time in which they were entering the labour market, which coincided with the Great Depression and with the recession in 2008. So they were entering the labour market at a huge economic downturn. So it's really important to see how that is impacting on their chances in the job market, more generally in their lives. So it is the only national longitudinal
Este
study
es el
focusing
único
on
estudio longitudinal nacional
teenage
en adolescentes en
so
transición
we're
hacia la edad
taking
adulta y
it
también se está utilizando de manera extensiva para algunas políticas. Y solamente para darles una idea del impacto de las políticas
how has it already made a
y
difference?
cómo
So,
ha hecho la diferencia ya.
so first one is
Ha aumentado
raising
la
participation age in formal
participación, la edad
education
de
training. So
participación en
actually
educación formal y
I said at the beginning
entrenamiento,
that
y como dije en el
the
inicio,
end of compulsory schooling with
al
in
final de la escuela
England is
obligatoria
age
en
16,
Inglaterra a los
but
16
actually
años de edad,
because
pero
of evidence from
realmente por
next steps,
evidencia
it
de
showed
los
that
siguientes
people who tend to drop out of
pasos, hay
school right
personas
at
que
age
dejan la
16
escuela
are
a los
actually
16
are
años
more
realmente
vulnerable and low skilled, and
están
actually they're the ones
más,
that
son
need to
personas
go on
más
education
vulnerables de
longer
aquellas
to
que
get on in the
se
labour
quedan
market. So
estudiando en el
because
trabajo y
of
en el mundo laboral.
evidence from next steps, there's actually been a recent change in
Va a haber un
government policy
cambio
so
en las
that
políticas del
young people
gobierno
now have to
que
stay on
sobre
in
los
some form of
chicos
educational
tendrán que
training
quedarse en la
until they're
educación
18.
hasta los 18 años
So
de
that was
edad,
a direct
y eso
policy
realmente era un impacto en la política
There's
pública.
also been
También
quite a lot of
han
research
visto
on
mucha
the vocational
investigación
qualifications. So
las cualificaciones
those
vocacionales,
young people who go
que
on
hay
to study
jóvenes que
vocational
estudian
to go to vocational courses rather than
cursos
academic
vocacionales
courses.
en vez de
There was
académicos,
a review that showed that actually the kind of the types of vocational courses that they were doing were not necessarily equipping them with the skills that they needed for the labour market. So that has led to a lot of policy interest in terms
hay
of
mucho
improving
interés de las
vocational
políticas
education.
públicas para mejorar estos
The
cursos.
next one is setting up the education maintenance allowance. So this is again, there was evidence from next step showing that most 25 the young people from 25 backgrounds are more likely to drop out of school at 16, so the government set up a scheme called education maintenance allowance, which paid for things like books and travel and equipment for young people to allow them to stay
para que
on in
puedan seguir
education
estudiando
at
después de los
16.
16 años.
Bullying is the next one,
También
so there's
el cambio es
there was
la estrategia
questions on bullying which showed that
alrededor del bullying en las
around
escuelas,
half of the cohort actually experienced bullying during
sobre todo en
the school
estudiantes que
years.
experimentan el
And there was a lot of concern about this, which has
había
led
mucha preocupación
to
sobre esto,
improve kind of strategies
para mejorar las estrategias
around bullying in schools and how
alrededor
to
del
reduce
bullying en
that.
las
So
escuelas y cómo
actually
reducir
the evidence from the next cohort
evidencia de la siguiente
actually shows
cohorte,
that
y
young
esto
people
muestra
today are much
cómo
less
los
likely to be
jóvenes
bullied at school. And again,
sufren
that's
menos
kind of,
bullismo ahora en las
I thought
escuelas
that's
con estas nuevas políticas.
the policy that
Las
influenced that
políticas
was
que
based on
influencian
evidence
esto
from next
se
step.
basa en
Actually,
la
this week it's
información
been
de nuestro
anti-bullying
programa.
week in the UK, so
También tenemos
and we actually released some new findings
hicimos
for
algunos hallazgos
anti-bullying week using the next steps data,
utilizando la
which was
información
looking
de
at sexual minorities risk of being bullied. So this is young people who identified as lesbian, gay, and bisexual. So the new research that we released this week shows that they were at greater risk of experiencing bullying when teenagers 14 and 16 and also at age 20. That's been getting quite a bit of media attention back home this week, which is good. Okay, so a bit more about what the data actually includes. So yeah, this chart just shows the sort of timeline for the study. So the study member themselves has been surveyed every wave. The first 4 surveys were face-to-face surveys where we actually visited them in their home. Parents were interviewed as well, so that gave us have data about the parents, parenting, and also the circumstances of the household. It was linked to the National Pupil Database, which gave us information about the school that the young person was at, but also their performance on key assessments and also their examination results. The sample sizes are along the bottom, so you can see that the wave-on-wave response rates are actually quite high, but the sample sizes actually dropped quite substantially, pretty much half in the first 7 waves, and this is because they actually, if somebody didn't take part in one survey, they weren't actually reapproached for the next survey, which was a big shame. So when we kind of run our kind of the contract to carry out the next wave at age 25, we were very keen to go back to everybody who's ever taken part in the study. So we're now going to try and contact everybody who's ever taken part. And the age 25 survey is just with the study member themselves, and also we're also trying to get a wide range of data linkage consents. I should also say that the first 4 waves of the study were face-to-face, and the last 3 waves were sequential mixed mode, so they were invited to take part on the web first, then telephone, and then face-to-face. And the age 25 survey is also going to be sequential mixed mode study. So just a little bit, so this chart just covers at a very broad level the kind of content in the study. As I said, it was quite focused on education, but having said that, there are some health measures and things as well. But we've tried to expand that quite a lot in the age 25 survey. So just tell you quickly a bit more about the age 25 survey. So these are some of the kind of research questions that we're interested in. So how has this generation experienced the global recession, and in particular how they're getting on in the labour market. There's a lot of concern about things like underemployment, so graduates not being able to get onto a career ladder and actually having to take kind of minimum wage or low wage jobs because they're not able to actually get jobs which fully utilise their educational qualifications. And also there's a concern about kind of exploitation of young people in the labour market, like things like 0 hours contracts where they're not guaranteed any particular number of hours work. So the other ones I've got here are mental health and obesity, so those are the 2 big public health concerns, particularly pertinent for this age group and this generation. I've already mentioned skills acquisition, particularly in particular in relation to vocational training. So there's concern about whether the young people today have the right skills in the labour market. And actually the UK, on kind of international surveys, the OECD international surveys like PIAN actually show that the young people in the UK are actually not that well equipped in terms of skills. And of course inequalities is an ongoing concern. So the study's already shown that there are kind of social differences and other differences between people in terms of their educational performance up to age 19-20. So we want to look at whether that's persisted on into adult life or early adult life. So this is just shows the topics we've got in our age 25 survey. So yeah, it's a 45-minute interview. It's a web survey followed by telephone and then face-to-face visit. So we're asking about household formation, relationships, and fertility, and in particular any kind of cohabiting relationships that they've been in since they're age 16. We're asking them about the housing situation, because again there's a lot of concern about the housing costs and the fact that young people are actually not able to kind of get on the housing ladder and afford their own house. We were initially hoping to have a kind of complete housing history everywhere that they've lived since age 16, but unfortunately that's not been possible. So we included that in our pilot survey, but because there's a lot of house moves and housing transitions in this period, particularly certainly for those who've gone away to university and things like that, we're not able to collect a full housing history. We are getting some summary measures of housing, of their housing careers or trajectories. We're collecting information on employment, income, education, and training, and we're also updating the kind of longitudinal history of their periods in employment and education since the last interview or since they turned 16. Questions on identity and participation, health and well-being, and data linkage consent. So we're asking for consent to link to 9 different government records in the areas of education, health, economics, and also criminal justice. And lastly, of course, we're collecting lots of contact information so that we can hopefully track them down in the future. So yeah, one of our big challenges has been with restarting the study after such a long dormant period has obviously been how we actually get hold of these people, how we locate them so they can take part. So we've been able to do some tracing through using administrative data, so we've been able to update their addresses from education records and also from health records. At CLS we have a kind of program maintenance team who work on tracing and tracking on all of our studies, so they've been doing some office tracking using databases, phone directories, and lateral role directories as well. We've developed a participant engagement strategy, which I've got a couple of slides on to show you. So we've got our mixed mode design, where with our accompanying fieldwork protocols with reminders and things like that to encourage them to take part. We have an incentive, so and actually we have a differential incentive, so they get a high rate incentive if they take part on the web in the first 3 weeks of the survey. So it's much cheaper for us if they do a web survey. So we actually pass on some of those kind of savings to them by offering them £20 if they do it on the web and £10 if they otherwise. We've invested quite a lot in interview training so that they're equipped to persuade them, and also because of the uncertainty with restarting the study after such a long dormant period, we are actually kind of testing where the initial fieldwork is just going to use 2,000 cases to give us a better estimate of the response rates and also the costs. So in terms of our participant engagement strategy, we've got a new brand, which I'll show you in the next slide. We've got a website for the participants. We do have Facebook and Twitter. We've got a video which is on the website explaining to them kind of why the study is important, what the difference it's made and why it's continuing. We sent them a kind of participant pack or a kind of relaunch mailing to explain to them the fact that this study has been restarting on who we are and why it's important and why they should continue to take part. And also we developed kind of survey materials which we hope are engaging as well for them. So these are just some screenshots of some of our websites of our materials with the new brand. So this is the website for participants, which has got lots of information there about, as I said, how the study's already made a difference and the findings. And this is our advance letter and the leaflet that we sent to them. And this is just a quick timeline, just showing. It's been quite a while in the development of the study because we've had various kind of challenges along the way. But yeah, we finally went into the field in August this year, and we hope the data collection will be finished in May. And then we'll be releasing the data towards the end of next year or early 2017. The data from this study and from the age 25 survey, all of the previous waves and all of the other studies that we run are currently available data, so they're available from the data service if anybody would like to use them. And I think that might be everything. Oh yeah, thanks to our funders and Trust Institution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lisa. That was a fantastic presentation. I have time for a couple of questions. Yes, there is one there in the bottom.
Thank you, Lisa, for a fantastic presentation. I have a question for you. You said that you invest about 10 or 20 pounds in every EV to get them attached to the program.
Yeah, so they have, so they're given an incentive payment for taking part at age 25. So they get £10 if they take part by telephone or face to face, and £20 if they take part on the web.
And then you keep going now, 2015 this year, and then you're going to keep doing this resurvey every 2 years.
So we hope to go back to them every sort of 3 to 5 years, so probably around age 30. Probably around age 30 will be the next time we go back to them. At the moment we've only got funding for this follow-up at age 25. But yeah, we're hoping to secure funding to follow them again, and into adulthood. Potentially until they. The other studies that we run are following people from the cradle to the grave, so we hope that this study will do the same.
Thank you, it's a fantastic presentation.
We have time for another question. We have about them. Lisa, you have a very nice health model. And in the UK, it has become also a major topic. I think it's, it's a wide thing, but I wonder if you could tell us a bit how much evidence from the study has come out in terms of why or what are the determinants of people, changes in lifestyle, or things like that.
Yeah, so this study has not been that much used really to look at obesity because unlike some of the other cohort studies, we don't have direct measurements, so we have self-report. So it's not been so much used to look at obesity, but for example, the millennium cohort study has been used quite a lot to look at trends in obesity. So you have the direct measurements. So we only got to have the self-reports.
Okay. I have time for another one. Thank you very much, Lisa. I think this is really fantastic.